My girlfriend and I had just moved into our dream home. It was everything we had ever wanted, perfect for us and our cat, Bella, whom we rescued together. It felt like everything had fallen into place. We were excited to start this new chapter of our lives, creating memories in the house that felt like it was made just for us. However, there was the house next door. It was abandoned, a half-finished renovation project with a garden that seemed to connect directly to ours. There was no fence, no separation. It was an eerie setup, but at first, we didn't think much about it. After all, it was an empty house, and we thought maybe we would never even have to interact with it. Little did we know that would be far from the case. In the first few days, everything seemed normal. The house next door was quiet, and our days followed a routine. But one night, we started noticing something strange. A man, standing at the window of the abandoned house, was staring at us, fixedly. No expression, no emotion, just staring. It didn't make sense, but it felt uncomfortable. We tried to ignore it, thinking maybe he was just curious about the new neighbors. We hoped he was simply taking a moment to observe us, as neighbors sometimes do. But as time passed, the discomfort grew, and his presence started to feel more threatening. We couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. In the following days, things began to escalate. Men from the neighboring property started showing up. They would just walk into our garden as if it were their own, watching us, and their behavior became increasingly unsettling. One night, one of them even tried to offer us stolen goods, as if nothing was wrong. It made us feel more and more uneasy, as though they were trying to intimidate us in some way. We weren't sure if they thought they had some right to our property, or if they were just playing a sick game. But what really scared us was the sense that we were being targeted for something bigger. Every time we looked out the window, these men were there, watching from a distance, as if waiting for something. It felt like we were under surveillance, but we couldn't pinpoint why. The following days were marked by an increasing sense of insecurity. We called the police, but when they arrived, they didn't do much. A few days later, we found out that the men had been kicked out of the property for antisocial behavior, not just towards us, but also with other neighbors. It was a relief, but we knew it couldn't be over. The feeling of being watched didn't go away. Fear started to seep into our daily routines, turning what should have been our dream home into a prison. Each creak of the floorboards, every knock at the door, made us second guess whether it was them returning. We couldn't shake the paranoia, and every little thing began to trigger our anxiety. One night, while I was taking a bath, we heard a loud bang from outside. My girlfriend was recording something from the spare bedroom window, and when I asked what was happening, she told me to stay quiet. When I looked, I saw a man we didn't know trying to open our door, then running back to the abandoned house. Panic took over, and we called the police immediately. They came, watched the video, took our statement, and left. But the feeling that something was wrong wouldn't leave us. We lay awake, wondering who this person was and what their intentions were. The dread of not knowing what was behind those actions haunted us more and more. Each day that passed without an answer made it feel like things were getting worse. The incidents became more frequent. We heard whistling in the middle of the night, and the feeling of being followed only grew stronger. One night, around 2 a.m., we heard someone tapping on our window. Fear took over, and for a moment, we didn't react, as when we checked the cameras, nothing was recorded. It was as if someone had tampered with the technology, leaving us even more vulnerable and terrified. The sounds became a nightly occurrence. It felt like we were living in a horror movie, with no way to escape the terror. For days, the sound of tapping on the window continued, always at night. We felt more and more powerless, as if someone was enjoying tormenting us, playing a twisted game with our lives. Every small noise felt like a signal that they were still out there, watching. Finally, the police told us that the man who had been harassing us was stalking us, but there was no clear evidence that he was planning something more serious. But when we saw him on camera, wearing a mask and standing in front of our garden, arms outstretched as though imitating the crucifixion, everything turned into a full-blown nightmare. We called the police once again, but they dismissed it as unimportant. They didn't understand the intensity of what we were experiencing. That man, with his unsettling presence, seemed to always be around, making our home a constant place of terror. We didn't know what to expect next, but one thing was clear: he wasn't going anywhere. It wasn't just his creepy presence, it was the feeling that he could strike at any moment. Every night, his presence grew. He was watching us, always from afar, but it seemed like he was waiting for the right moment to get even closer. When he appeared with a black mask and was holding what seemed to be a crowbar, everything became clear. This was no longer some sick joke, it was a direct threat, an attempt to silence us through fear. Who were these people? What did they want with us? Every moment, every odd noise outside made us question our safety, and we began to wonder who we could really trust. We felt isolated and powerless, not knowing if anyone could help us stop this nightmare. Every new event only escalated the terror, making it harder to hold on to our sanity. In the end, after weeks of constant nightmare, we decided to move. The feeling that we hadn't escaped this cycle of terror didn't leave us. Even in new places, their presence followed us, as if they had spread out, leaving traces behind, like they were playing a twisted game of psychological manipulation. The fear was always with us, no matter where we were. It was as if what they wanted wasn't just to scare us, but to control us, to make sure we never felt safe. It felt like we were being hunted by invisible forces, and no matter how far we ran, they were always one step ahead. We couldn't outrun our own paranoia. Things took a darker turn when we went on a family trip to Michigan's Great Lakes. It was supposed to be a relaxing getaway, an escape. But when we arrived at the Airbnb by the beach, the sense of discomfort settled in. Everything seemed perfect at first glance, but the condition of the property was far from comfortable. The old, neglected building made us feel something was wrong. It was as if the house itself was hiding a secret, one we weren't meant to uncover. As night fell, strange sounds began to be heard, bangs on the garage door that shook the building. Someone, or something, was outside. It felt like the house itself was part of some sinister plot. We called the authorities, but when they arrived, they found no one. Then my uncle saw him, a man standing behind the garage, staring at us, but not moving a muscle. When my uncle called out to him, the man simply disappeared into the air, leaving no trace. This was not normal. And the most disturbing part, he wasn't in a hurry to escape. He was just watching us with a chilling calm, as if he was studying us, waiting for the right moment to act. After that, we found jester cards, one inside the house and one in the garage. The symbol of mockery loomed over us, as though we were being tested in some sinister game. It felt like we were pawns in someone's twisted game, being toyed with. That night, the tension was so unbearable that we decided to leave. As we tried to piece together what had happened, many of us speculated whether the man was just a neighbor or something even darker. The most terrifying theory was that we had been watched the entire time, perhaps even by someone inside our own home. The mystery was never solved, and our perception of safety was completely shattered. The feeling of being hunted, of being part of a game we didn't understand, stayed with us even after we left. We felt like we had never really escaped, no matter where we went. It was as if the terror was always just a step behind us,